Hey everybody, Dorothy Kuhn here with the Successful She podcast, and I'm very excited to have for you today a wonderful guest from Bali, Indonesia, originally from Minnesota. Did I get that right, Mandy?
Yes, you have.
You had. Her name is Mandelynn Moses, and she and I met through the HerStory Women's Global Empowerment Conferences. She is chairing the conference in Bali, and as I am here in the Dallas market. So it's just incredible to get to meet so many talented and amazing women, and you will just love her story and learning what it was that she overcame to get to the place where she is today, because we've all got challenges in life, and guess what? Getting past them is the thing that makes us just step into our full selves in the most amazing way. So, Mandy, tell us a little bit about you and what really aligned you with wanting to lead the HerStory event in Bali.
Yeah, so I've been speaking for about 3 or 4 years now, and I was referred to the conference from a friend of mine, and Gertrude and I just had an amazing time on the phone, had a beautiful connection, and she had told me that she had a chair here in Bali and something wasn't quite working, and she thought that I'd be perfect to lead it, and instantly I just said yes. I just felt like the conference was in such alignment with serving and getting women's voices out there, because I feel like so many people feel like their voices have been restricted for so long. And for me, it's not necessarily about women's empowerment. It's about stepping into your own power. And so for me, I thought that this would be a perfect opportunity to be part of that on a much larger scale, and helping women to step into their power and being able to showcase what it looks like and how powerful it is to use your voice. Since that is something that I teach very deeply in the work that I do personally.
I get that, and you and I are very similar. My best clients, my most frequent clients, really are women. But everyone needs to be able to step into who they are, and when we do that, we really get to fulfill our human destiny in a full and wonderful way. It's most empowering. Now, whether you use that terminology or something else. So what drew you to go to Bali in the first place?
Oh my gosh, so we've been traveling now for 9 months. It's always been a dream of mine to be a nomad. I've always said I just want to be a nomad for like 2 years. And so we made the decision to just up and leave. It was actually a calling. I was wanting to leave out of the country, out of the United States for a while. And I thought it was Bali at first, and but it wasn't yet, even though Bali was calling me. One day I was at the gym and I just heard a voice and it said, "Move to Belize." And I was like, "What?" And the voice said again, "Move to Belize." And that was a higher calling. So I was like, okay. So I went home and I wrote a goal, move to Belize September 1st. And I said, okay, God, if that was you, you need to let me know what I need to do to make it happen. And so for the last year and a half, pretty much, I've been preparing myself to live here for Bali. And I knew that there was a lot waiting for me here. So the last year and a half has been a journey of getting here in Bali, which has been really beautiful. And now that we got here, it was just this place is home. And so every single day that we've been here, it's just been confirmation that this place is home. And so I just looked at my boyfriend and said, this is the new home for us. This is home base. We're not going back to the States. We're staying here in Bali. And so, and it just feels so right, so good. We had so much work waiting for me here. And it's just been like the most incredible alignment, most incredible place. And so now I'm going to start opening myself up to taking some more speaking gigs in the States so I can slowly start bringing back my clothes and everything that's back in the States, and registering my business here in Bali. And here we are. So this is our new home, and I'm just so happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, when I looked at your bio and it said, with your focus to really disrupt the status quo and help others develop a strong sense of self and allow them to expand to their fullest potential, with a mission to help others connect deeply and with purpose and with legacy. I thought this is such a great alignment with HerStory, and it just made me intensely curious because it's so aligned with the things that I love to help women really be able to step into in their own lives. So tell me a little bit about tell our audience a little bit about what it is that you do and what you feel called to do if there's something new or different in Bali.
Yeah, so my focus has changed a little bit as we've come out here in Bali. Not much, but I think just getting here, the clarity is just been so beautiful. So what I do is I really work with leaders and people who really want to serve on a global scale and not lead from the mind, but really lead from the heart. Because I really feel like one of the things that I really preach all the time is the world needs your heart. And right now we do need heart-centered conscious leaders out there in the world spreading more love and using the voice with the intention to serve and to influence and inspire positive change in the world, whatever message that may be. And so I work with people to get that message out into the world and get clarity around that and connect them with the legacy. We're only here on this planet for a very short amount of time. We don't have a lot of time here. So, the focus shouldn't be living for the moment that we're here on earth. We need to be living for the time after we pass. My favorite poet is Rumi, and he died 700 years ago. And to this day, he's still the number one selling poet in the world. Yes. And so we need to be living connected to our legacy every single day. So helping the people that I work with connect into what the really big picture looks like and creating a life that is connected to that. And as we've been traveling for almost a year now, and now I get to live in one of the most beautiful places on earth, one of the things that people always ask is, how do you do it? How do you do it? And I do it because I'm always connected every single day to my big picture, and my life is created around that big picture. And so being able to do that on a larger scale, and I really do deep dive immersions like retreats and events, and I speak all over the world to be able to help me spread that message out into the world. I'm just very blessed to be in a position to do so.
That is fantastic, fantastic. And so many people are can't imagine what that's like to really, it really is a life of faith, because you're stepping out and asking God, the divine, however you hold that, and resting in the confidence of the ground being before you for the next step that you might not even be able to see the ground for.
Absolutely. Living this kind of lifestyle and being in a position that I'm in right now, that's the one thing I had to learn big time was trust and faith. And sometimes people are like, Mande, one day or, every day or everything just changes for you. You might be here, you might be there. And I'm like, to be honest, that is really honestly how I live, because I don't have my hands on the wheel anymore of my life. I am just a servant. And I just listen. If I'm supposed to be here, I go here, even if it's against everything that my mind is telling me not to do. I've just developed a really strong sense of intuition, and I realize that I really am just a servant of the divine, and wherever I'm asked to be, whatever I'm asked to say, whatever I'm asked to do, I just do it. And so, yeah, I don't really have a plan. I have a idea of what that looks like, but I'm not in control. And I never thought that I'd be able to live a life like that, not being in control. But I have to say, like, I'm so in love with my life now because I know that I am not in control and I don't need to be in control. And every step of the way I'm supported, and it's just a beautiful place to be.
You know, and when you just put yourself out there, things will come. I was thinking earlier today, well, gosh, Dorothy, your calendar doesn't look like it normally does. I need to schedule some speaking engagements. So I just sent out, you know, a couple handfuls of emails. Already I've got a speaking engagement. Boom. That's, you know,
not easy.
Just put it out there. And, you know, I'm going to talk about her story and the alignment that I have with that. And, you know, good things will come from that. They always do.
Always do. You know, I love the quote from Oprah, you know, you only get out of life what you have the courage to ask for. So, you know, if things aren't looking the way you want it, ask for it. That's the power of the voice. Ask for it. You can't get... That's why I really love this HerStory conference, is because it's all about the voice, and you can't get what you want out of this material world without your voice. It's the only way to get what you want out of this material world is through your voice. So we have to practice using it.
That's right. And in my work, you know, I am known as the boundaries boss.
Because there's a lot of people on the planet that need you.
Oh yeah. And boundaries are things that are just invisible. You know, they you can't see them, and we often don't know that we have a boundary in a certain area until it's breached by somebody. And so then it's, do you have the skills and the wherewithal and the mindset and the inner confidence and work done in order to be able to stand up in the moment and show up in a way that is both powerful and takes blame out. So, you know, when I'm talking on my work, it's boundaries without blame, because when you blame somebody, what are they going to do?
Right.
Yeah,
just get defensive. It doesn't work.
And then they're stuck. Once they've defended, they're stuck and they're digging their heels in, and there's no coming together that can happen over that. And you know, you've lost their respect in the moment.
Absolutely.
And when you've lost, yeah, I mean, those things happen in a flash. You know, I say empowerment happens in a moment. It does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. So, and now you've got a wonderful venue for HerStory there in Bali. Is that called the GreenSchool? Do I have that right?
Yes, I'm so excited because that was my first choice. And I think that was Gertrude's first choice too, on venues. When I say, like, when I got to Bali, it was just, I like, there was all this prep work. It's really hard to describe the prep work I had to do on myself internally to come to such a special place like Bali. Like, Bali is, like, we always tease, like, with everybody, it's like, it's spooky and enchanted here. It's a really special energy here. And so 24 hours within me being here in Bali, I got offered a speaking gig at the GreenSchool, which is considered the most revered school in the world. Oh, really? And so we got I got a speaking gig, and that's a story in itself, but absolutely crushed the speaking gig that I did. And the director of the GreenSchool was so engaged in everything that I had to speak about, and he pretty much offered us the space. And actually, this afternoon, I've got another meeting at the GreenSchool, which will be heading over there today to talk more about everything. And I am so excited because the school is incredibly special. And I'm so happy that so many schools are mimicking what they're doing, and they're popping up in places, and people are replicating it because the world needs that right now. And I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. I'm just,
Wow.
oh my gosh, you have no idea.
So give our listeners, our viewers, just a little bit about what makes the Green School so extraordinary.
So the Green School, well, we're so used to education being focused on the mind, right? Learning about the mind. And we're not really fostering the entire child, the creativity and the strengths of the child, and letting the child really develop a sense of self, mindfulness. That's not taught in schools, and which is why we struggle deeply as adults, because the current education system, not only in the United States but all over the world, has become quite political, and there's agendas behind it. And for me, education reform is just it's my biggest purpose in life, and so it's a subject that I'm just really incredibly passionate about. And the Green School has developed, and it's constantly developing, ways to improve and foster the entire child. Good. So we were there like 2 weeks ago, and we were walking by their math class, and math class was them making pizza. And so they were making pizza, and how they were incorporating it in math was they're rolling out the dough, making different sizes of pizza, and they're measuring out the diameter and the weights of the toppings and stuff put on the pizza. It was just like really cool. Like, that's math class. It's very hands-on learning. The school is all made out of a bamboo structure. It's like outdoors in nature. How I got into the Green School was a friend of mine had asked. It was so funny. I just met that friend that day, and he asked me, "Hey, do you want to come and pick up my kids from school with me?" We're like, "Okay, sure." And after school, the kids were so happy. Like, the kids were just like joyful, incredibly happy. And the other thing was, it's not like it's taking us out of the material world and really connecting in with ourselves. So many of the parents and families have been extremely successful and moved out of the United States and Europe and Australia just to send their kids there. Wow. And there's no like, and some of the most successful people in the world have their kids at that school, and you'd never know it, because it's really about going back to the basics and taking out of that materialism and really just getting connected back in with self. And I just think it's such a beautiful message. Wow. That needs to be spread, and we need more schools like that. It's time to teach our kids a little bit differently, so we can make generational impact from here on out.
I know when I was a kid in school, I'm in my 60s, and so when I was a kid in school, character development was a really important thing to a part of school, and being that good for I was in Scouts, and Scouts was all about being a responsible person and doing right by nature. Always leave your campsites better than you found them, and all those kinds of things. So it was a lot of character development, and it was during the Civil Rights Movement. And so, of course, on the TV, with Walter Cronkite at night, it was, Dr. King and all kinds of the big moral questions that have been going on here in the U.S. since the founding. Racism is the original sin of this country, and we're still struggling with it. So there is always more to go to develop that character and really live into the ideals that we have individually and as a community, as a nation, as a world.
Absolutely. Yep. And the quickest way we're going to be able to do that is with our children. That's why I'm really just excited to be a part of it, to work more with children, to really bring the awareness and the importance of education reform. Yes. And so what better place to hold a conference like this at, the leader of the forefront of that movement at the Green School. So I'm excited.
And that math that is so tactile, math really is very, very, the foundational parts is so much about geometry and length and diameter and all those kinds of things. And they're not abstract concepts, those foundational math concepts. They are very concrete. And when my kids were little, if we were driving in the car, I'd pull some change out of my pocket and just whatever was available, and driving down the road and give them some change and ask them to count that up and add it and all those kinds of things. And those kinds of things really help people, especially when we're little kids, just get that very natural understanding of the map between numbers and the physical world. The numbers are the abstraction, but they tell us a lot about the physical world, and it was just extraordinary.
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that, and to know a little bit more about the Green School. I'll have to put a link to that as well. And what do you have coming up in Bali? You've got some retreats that you're thinking about. Is that right?
Yeah. So we've got, so I have a retreat that I'm doing in October, which I'm just so excited about. So the retreat that I'm doing in October is for entrepreneurs, or so pretty much entrepreneurs who are ready to make that quantum leap into the next step into their life and really grow their influence. And so it's for me, when we're ready to make a change in our lives, there's this gap between what it is that we want and where we're at. And there's this gap that needs to be filled. And in order for us to jump into our next stage in life, we have to expand into whatever it is that we want next. And that's why so many people struggle in growing their business. That's why so many people struggle, even if it's not in business, but like in a relationship, in any area of your life, you have to expand into it first.
Yes.
And so what I found is helping people expand into that, everything comes really easy. Just like for me to come into Bali, yesterday we were having a conversation. So many people come here to Bali because there's so much healing. Like the energy here brings out a lot of healing. And I was telling my boyfriend yesterday, I'm like one of the very few people that came to Bali to do any healing. I expanded into the energy of Bali before I got here. And then that's why I've been able to make so much headway and be so successful in Bali, because I was able to use the energy of Bali in my favor. And so what we've created in a month here in Bali, it would have taken me at least a year back home in the States. And I'm no joke on that. We did we had our first, I started to do a workshop here, which is an entrepreneurial group. For me, business is about the whole person. So it was a conscious leadership gathering, and I just put the concept together 5 days before our first workshop. And so I was expecting to have like 4 or 5 people there. We had 26 people show up for our first group, it was the most amazing group and workshop I've ever created. And so that expansion process, when you expand into something first, you're able to really create a lot of magic in your life. And so, so that's a little bit of what we've got going on right now in Bali.
Yes, and from the methodology that I use is a very different. I'm a master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming, and so it's to fully imagine and see and feel and hear what that future is going to be like for you, and we just create that from our whole cloth. It's easy to walk somebody through that. Easy. It is simple to walk somebody through that.
Right. I tend to use that word easy too. I'm like, no, back up. It's not usually easy.
And but to guide them through, and then to have them step into that future, and to have that physical anchor. And when I remember, sometimes it's heal thyself. It's like, oh, I got to do that, and then things happen. It's amazing how things happen that way.
Absolutely. You become, I say you become a shapeshifter. You're able to really shape everything around you and become a creator. I really don't like that word manifester. There's nothing to manifest. We have everything. But how do we create it? you know, and bringing that power back into the word creation. Like, how can
Right.
we create our own reality? And that's what I just love so much.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I mean, this has just been extraordinary. And so can you send me a link for your Bali event?
Absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
Good. I'll put that in the show notes too. So you all, if you all want to go and speak in Bali at the HerStory event there, I'll have that link. If you want to speak in Dallas at the HerStory event, I've just secured the venue for that. It is a sponsored venue by Texas Women's University, and they are the home of the Texas Women's Leadership Institute.
Oh,
Which
amazing.
just wonderful. And it's led by the most amazing woman, Major General Mary Saunders. She is incredible. And you would think that she is, you know, in some ways, she's a real military woman. She's been, you know, she's retired general at this point, and has been at TWU for about a decade. But she is at the same time just the most wonderful and loving heart. So to have those two sides in the same person is incredibly just inspiring.
That's awesome. Oh, congratulations. It's when you secure the venue, it's like, and then
Now
it's like,
real.
oh shoot. It's like, okay, we got the venue. It's like, oh, wait a second. Now the work just began.
Now I'm
real.
speaking tours all over the Dallas Metroplex to line up the sponsors for all of the other pieces. And I don't know what you're choosing for your social impact project. So if you've already chosen that, then I want to hear about it in a minute. Ours is really, we're going to have we're targeting about $20,000 for education for Indigenous women. There are a lot of Indigenous women here in the North Texas and Oklahoma area that just don't have the wherewithal to continue their education. And, you know, we as a nation will be better when we have the wisdom of our Indigenous women who are powerful in our societies and communities and businesses.
Yeah, for us here, we've already started working a little bit with a with a school here. One of the one of the things in Indonesia or in Bali, Bali's a little bit different than the rest of Indonesia, but here in Bali, you've got a lot of expats, and then you've got the you know, the locals, and there's not a lot of mix between the locals and the expats. And so one of the things is that there's all these schools, but a lot of locals don't send their kids to the schools because they think that it's, number one, it's too expensive, and the cultures don't really mix. And there's a school here that's actually mixing the cultures and bringing local Indonesian children into being able to have a more Western type education. So being able to mix the two, and they are actually in threat right now of losing their space. Their lease is up, and so now they're getting moved out, and so they need to raise money so they can have their school. And so we've been, every week we do a program that helps raise money for that school. And so and that's the first thing that we notice, that there's not a lot of mix in the culture, and that's the beauty of traveling, is the mix of the culture. And I met this beautiful Balinesian priestess the other day, and we had an amazing conversation. And I realized that is really what this place needs, is a mix and an immersion of the culture. So, the social impact project will be helping merge, giving Indonesian children the opportunity to have a better education. And so that's what we'll be doing, helping out with that school.
Wonderful. And it's that is such an interesting kind of creative tension of we have some wonderful Rotary clubs here in North Texas, and I used to belong to the Denton Rotary here in my town, Denton, Texas. And we do. I don't know if you're aware much of Rotary, but we almost every club will do a speech contest for the high school students that are in the high school version of Rotary, and one time, and then the top 3 or 4 students in who are participating in that will come to our club for lunch, and we'll feed them, and they'll give us their short talk on, we call it the 4-way test. And they're the ones who, were the top ranked speakers at the contest. And one of them was from a young woman who was of an Asian culture. Her parents came here from halfway around the world, and then, she's the first generation American. And that push and pull of the 2 cultures, being able to honor both cultures and find that way in the middle is not an easy thing. And the way she structured her talk and made her comments was it was eye-opening to see what a struggle that is, and that young people are the people that really have to navigate that the most.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to be able to know your culture and to know that blended part, and to know how to step in and out as appropriate. And golly, is that a high level skill or what?
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, I've been really thinking about, what I would really like to portray and through this event. Mm-hmm. And I really want to include a lot of Balinesian culture into the event, and really really mix the 2 things together. And mm-hmm. I've been meeting like that Balinesian priestess that I met the other day, an 18-year-old graduate, Indonesian graduate from the GreenSchool, who was actually going to be political reasons it didn't work out, but she's still doing amazing things, was going to be on the Olympic swimming team for next year. Finding speakers, and beautiful Indonesian women speakers here is going to be really beautiful. So I'm just really excited to being able to I'm just so excited that I'm going to be doing this in Bali. It's one thing for me. I'm glad that I'm not in Arizona, in Arizona right now. I'm so happy that I'm here in Bali, being able to do this, because it just feels so exciting to me.
Oh, I so get it. Well, how can people get in touch with you if they wanted to go to Bali and visit you there, work with you there? How would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is through Facebook. Facebook has been really great for us while we've been traveling. So, I'm pretty much the only one with my name. So it's Mandelynn Moses. And so just friend me on Facebook, send me a message on Messenger. Instagram is still Mandelynn Moses, and my email is mandelynn.moses@gmail. And so you can just get a hold of me. Everything's really easy just through my name, so you can get a hold of me through there.
Good, and I'll have that in the links. So this is great. Well, Mande, it has just been fantastic to have you today. I cannot wait to hear more about your conference, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there.
Yes, please do. It's amazing. Yeah, it is January 6th through the 8th.
January 6th through the 8th next year, 2020.
2020, yep.
Very good. Well, blessings and honor, my dear sister, and this is great. I can't wait to see more from you.
Yeah, you as well. I'm so excited that we get to support each other on this journey, and just being able to spread so much inspiration in the world. It's just such a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, same here. Okay, bye for now.